Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So for the subject Al-Falsafah Al-Hadithah USI42002, we are from degree Usuluddin and Counseling semester 8. We'll give the presentation about the topic characteristic of the Western philosophy. So thank you to the lecturer Dr. Muhammad for teaching us, and we are from group 2. My name is Muhammad Hazlan bin Muhammad Hatta, metric numbers 046435, and this is all my group members: Amirul Fikri bin Hamzah 047008, Muhammad Noor Azam bin Muhammad Yusoff 047882, Muhammad Danial Ashraf bin Abdul Rahman 046607, Muhammad Saifullah bin Jaafar 047395, Muhammad Yazid bin Johari 046555, Muhammad Afif Aufa bin Kamal 047761, and lastly the Anwar bin Datuk Bidin 047558. So I will start the presentation. I will start the introduction. So Western philosophy can be divided into three periods or three eras. The first one, Greek era, the second, Christian era, and lastly the modern era. Greek era or ancient Greek era, we can divide into three periods: pre-Socratic period, classical period, and Hellenistic period. For the Christian era, we can divide into medieval period and Renaissance period. And lastly, the modern era, we can divide into early modern and late modern. So from all this era and period, my members will continue explain generally about the era, and the main topic will be discussing about the characteristics of all these eras. So I will give my friend to continue the presentation. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Amirul Fikri bin Hamzah. My metric number 047008. Okay, I will continue the presentation with my part, that is ancient Greek period. Okay. As we know, the scope of ancient Western philosophy include the problems of philosophy as they are understood today, but it also include many other disciplines such as pure mathematics and natural science. Natural science, for example, for natural science is physics, astronomy, and biology. Okay, there is three periods in this ancient. First, pre-Socratic philosophy, classical period. The last is the Hellenistic and Roman imperial. Okay, pre-Socratic philosophy. Pre-Socratic philosophy is ancient Greek philosophy before Socrates, and also the schools contemporary to Socrates that were not influenced by him. The pre-Socrates were the forerunners of what became Western philosophy as well as natural philosophy, which later developed into the natural science. Okay, there is a few significant figures that popular before this philosophy become Western philosophy. Include the Xenophon, Heraclius, Democritus, Pythagoras, and the others. They all have their different expert based on their philosophy. And also not forget to tell us that one of the 7 sages of Greece that considered as the first philosopher in the philosophy. Okay, second, classical period. Classical period is in ancient Greek philosophy centered on Socrates, and also the two generation of students there is Plato and Aristotle. Socrates is best known for having pursued a probing question and answer style of examination on a number of topics, usually attempting to arrive at the defensible or attractive definition of virtue. But Socrates was charged for his philosophy's inquiries, convicted, and Socrates was killed or was sentenced to the death by his government because her philosophy. Okay, Plato was a student of Socrates and Aristotle was a student of Plato. As we know, Plato is the author of numerous dialogues and letters, as well as one of the primary sources available to modern scholars on Socrates' life. Aristotle was the tutor of Alexander the Great. He also wrote on a number of subjects, including logic, physics, metaphysics, and politics. Okay, the last one is the Hellenistic and Roman Imperial. Okay, this period saw that the continuation of Aristotelism and Cynicism and the emergence of new philosophy. New philosophies such as Purism, Epicureanism, Stoicism, and Neopythagoreanism. Okay, Platonism also continue, but come under new interpretation, particularly academic skepticism in the Hellenistic period. Roman philosophy was heavily influenced. They influenced by the traditional of Greek philosophy. And imperial times, Epicureanism and Stoicism were particularly popular. Okay. Lastly, based on the ancient Greek period, we can see that every period have different philosophy or philosopher and different figure that expert on their philosophy. They also have their own characteristic. The characteristic will be present for my next presenter, Azam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to my friends. So I will continue about my part. That is characteristic of Western philosophy. This is from ancient Greek period. Okay, first started as kind of naturalism, as the distinction between mind and matter was not clearly recognized at that time. Now philosophers call it materialism. Okay, naturalism does not distinguish between mind and matter. So it's possible developing into materialism or spiritualism. Okay, next. The Greek gods were nature gods. Okay. So for example, the water of tail as a god, the fire as a god. Okay. So we can say they are god from element of nature, like early Indian gods. That is fire. Okay, next. Naturalistic approach toward religion can be inward and outward. So that is there are 2 points, that is outward and inward. So I will go to outward. The Apollonian said great religion is outward looking because can look God on nature force. So they said they can see God with their eyes. That is natural. Okay, nature. So about inward, okay. While of it in inward looking because found God in spiritual and mental factors. So they are clash from outward and inward. Okay, inward is about spiritual and outward about we can see. Okay, next. Great philosophical approach was made for men and society. The Greeks were able to lay the foundation of systematic social thought. Okay, this, as we know, Greeks very important to achievement of men. So from that, can make them as history minded. Okay, next. The Jewish God does not reason, is infinite will. The Jewish God is the sorry. The Jewish God is opposite when compared to the Greek God. Okay, so from this we can see they are compared, Greek God and Jewish God. It's about Jewish God does not reason, if infinite will, not reason to create anything. So we can see about compare Greek God and Jewish God. Next, a Greeks who said that's the ration part of man's soul is immortal, and the Jews did not state that will part of a man's soul is immortal. So that is characteristic about Greeks and what we call ancient period. So that's all from me, and my friend will continue about characteristic, about not about ancient but maybe about modern. Okay, so I will pass to him. Thank you. That's all from me.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad bin Ashraf bin Abdul Rahman 046607. Today and I will continue our presentation with Christian period. So Christian period is also known as the medieval period or the Middle Ages. It is the philosophy of Western Europe from about 400 to 1400 after decades, roughly the period between the fall of Rome and the Renaissance. This period is much marked by the influence of Christianity. That is why we call this a Christian period. Many of the philosophers of this period were highly anxious to prove the existence of God. One of the philosophers that is popular in this period is Augustine and Boethius. There are many such as Ibn Rushd on the Islamic sides, the Ibn Rushd, Ibn Sina, but I will talk only about Augustine and Boethius. So during this period there was a bad emotion such as despair, which only could be removed by the sense of companionship. Due to various reasons, medieval thought became a unique mixing up of inwardness and outwardness, such as about happiness and sorrow and so on. Next, Christian religion consists of three elements, which is the philosophical thoughts of Plato and Aristotle, the morals and history achieved from the Jews, rituals and theories of salvation traceable to various cults. The establishment of the first on this period is the first universities with professional full-time scholars. So in this period, one of the best establishment is the first university with professional full-time scholars. And then a strong revival in Islamic and Jewish philosophy at this time. The most significant movements of the period were scholasticism, Thomism, Scotism, and the Islamic schools of Averroism, which is by Ibn Rushd, Avicennism, Ibn Sina, and the Illuminationism. So that's all from me today. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Saifullah bin Jaafar, number matric 047395. Okay, today I will continue the presentation. Okay, I will go to characteristic Christian period. Okay, the first point, the Christian period is known as medieval philosophy and Renaissance. Okay, medieval philosophy placed heavy emphasis on the theological. Medieval thinkers did not consider themselves philosophy at all, because for them the philosophers were the ancient pagan writers such as Plato and Aristotle. Okay, in characteristic Christian periods, there are three principles in the medieval period. Okay, the first principle is the use of logic, dialectic, and analysis to discover the truth. Second, respect for the insight of ancient philosopher, in particular Aristotle. Okay, the third, the obligation to coordinate the insight of philosophy with theological teaching and revelation. Okay, next we go to the Renaissance period. Okay, then Renaissance running in Europe roughly between 14 and 16. The Renaissance period is transition between the Middle Era and Modern Era. Medieval era more focused to church, God, and afterlife, but the Renaissance era they was more secular, like human and life on earth. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Yazid bin Johari. Matrix number 046555. Insyaallah, I will continue our presentation with next topic about the modern philosophy periods. For the introduction, the early modern philosophy. We can start from the points of view of the beginning of the figures is like Aquinas in 1235 at the end of the middle philosophical era to Kant in 1804. The early modern periods was one of the most innovative moment in Western philosophy, during which new theories of mind and matters, of the divine and of civic society, among others, were proposed. We can see that the early of modern philosophy come with the new theory of mind and matters, of the divine and of civic society. Next, figures such as René Descartes, John Locke, Hume, and Kant published a book that would shape our modern understanding of philosophy. Okay, next. Defining the beginning and end of the periods. The roots of early modern philosophy can be traced back as far as 12th century. To the most matured movement of the scholastic tradition. That's mean the early of modern philosophy begin from the end of 12th century and start with Aquinas, Bidin, Buridan, accorded full trust to human rational faculties. If God give us the faculty of reasoning, then we shall trust that through such faculty we can achieve full understanding of worldly and divine matters. Next is the most innovative philosophical impulse come during the 14th century with the rise of humanistic and Renaissance movements. Apart from Europeans, the awareness of philosophy make a new change and with that have a big impact or influence on the famous important figures of modern philosophical era. Okay, next, Descartes and modernity. René Descartes is often regarded as the first modern philosopher. Not only was he a first-rate scientist at the forefront of the new theory of mathematics and matters, but he also had radically novel views of the relationship between mind and body, as well as God's omnipotence. For the first point, I want to tell that even though Descartes is known as the first people regarded to modern philosophy, he is also was a person who is responsible for the discovery of the new theory in mathematical and science. He is also believed in the relationship between the mind, soul, related to the qudrah or the omnipotence of God. Okay, next, uh, Descartes' philosophy, however, did not develop in isolation. Not only was it the reaction to century of scholastic philosophy, but it provided also the rebuttal of anti-scholastic ideas of some of his contemporaries. Even though he is believed in the both, yakni the God and the mathematical and science theory, the idea is not built by his own, but it's come from both, which are the scholastic and anti-scholastic philosophy that came from his contemporary views. Okay. Lastly, we find Michael de Montaigne, 1533 until 1592, statesman and others, whose essays established a new genre in modern Europe. Descartes' fascination with skeptical adapting was allegedly promoted by Montaigne works. He is also being skeptical about the words ideas from Michael de Montaigne, who is statesman and although that established the new genre in developing the modern Europe. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name Mohammad Aufa bin Kamal, number of matric 047761. Today I will continue the presentation. My part from post-Cartesian philosophy. Okay. Post-Cartesian philosophy occupies a central chapter of early modern philosophy. Okay. Along with France, Holland and Germany, become central place of philosophical production and their most distinguished representative rise to great fame. Okay, among them, Spinoza 1632 to 1677 and Leibniz 1646 to 1760 occupy a key role. Okay. Both of them system can be read as attempt to fix the main bugs of Cartesianism. Okay, next, British empiricism. Okay, the scientific revolution of which Descartes was a leading representative in France had a major influence also over British philosophy. Okay. During the 1500s, a new empirist tradition developed in Britain. The movement, which still counts several sympathizers, includes several major figures of early modern periods, such as Francis Bacon, 1561 to 1626, was one of the earliest, followed by John Locke 1632 to 1704, Adam Smith 1723 to 1790, and David Hume 1711 and to 1776. Okay. British empiricism systematism is arguably also the roots of so-called analytic philosophy. Okay. A contemporary philosophical tradition centered on analyzing, dissecting philosophical problems rather than addressing them all at once. Okay. While a unique and controversial definition of analytic philosophy can hardly be provided. It can be effectively characterized as that tradition that includes the works of the great British empiricists among its classical texts. Okay. Next, Enlightenment and Kant. Okay. In 1700s, European philosophy was provided by a novel philosophical movement by the Enlightenment. Okay, now also as the age of reason, because of the optimism in the capacity of human to improve their institutional conditions by means of sense alone. Okay, Enlightenment can also be seen as the culmination of certain ideas advanced by medieval philosopher. Okay. At the very ending of early modern philosophy, we can find Immanuel Kant 1724 to 1804. His work lies the foundations of modern philosophy. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wasahbihi ajma'in. My name is Anwar bin Datuk Bidin, number metric 04758. Okay, I will continue the presentation on conclusion. On conclusion, the Greek era, or we know as Greek philosophy, the discussion are more to discipline like mathematics and pure science like physics, biology, and others. And the most known person in Greek era is Socrates, and there's a time that we call before Socrates. So on that thing, we know that Socrates are the most known and the most important person in this Greek philosophy. And in Greek era, Greek philosophy, where most philosophy have started on their own. Okay, continue on Christian era. Christian era divided by two, on the medieval period and Renaissance. On the medieval period, we know that discussion are more to theology, and theology, like they want to prove that the existence of God itself, and it may be helped by the Greek philosophy itself, where many proof has been discussed on Greek philosophy, but on the Christian era, they get the proof from the Greek philosophy to prove the existence of God. But not long after that, come to Renaissance, where the secular start, where people divide the theology itself with human, and the discussion are more about human and life on earth on Christian era. Okay, then last on the modern era. Modern era is most innovative moment in philosophy, where a new theory of mind and matter starts, and they get a new figures such as Descartes and Immanuel Kant. Okay, in these three era, where the Greek, Christian, and modern, and we have another one, but we don't discuss it on this discussion. It's called contemporary era, but we don't discuss it. So Western philosophy, we know the biggest philosophy in the world, where when it comes to philosophy, we will refer to Western philosophy itself, such as we will refer to Greek philosophy. So that's all from us. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.